I'm talking about David Coe, the CEO of Calm, the leading app for meditation and mindfulness.
David has now written a book about self-care called Recharge, boosting your mental battery one conversation at a time.
I'm David Coe, CEO of Calm, son of Korean immigrants, a proud father, and author of the #1 best-selling book, Recharge. Recharge is where leaders and changemakers share the tools, habits, and mindsets they rely on to stay grounded, energized, and effective. Let's recognize, reflect, and recharge together. This conversation will inspire you. My guest today is a 2-time Olympic medalist, changing the culture in professional sports, one of Time's Women of the Year. Her new memoir, I'm That Girl, details the strength and adversity of her extraordinary life. Let's recharge with Jordan Chiles. Hey Jordan, how you doing? And welcome to Recharge.
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Good. How's your day going?
It's been going good. I actually just got out of a meeting with my coaches to come over here and pop on this podcast with you. So I'm really excited and just been living life, doing everything, quote unquote typical 23-year-old would be doing.
I don't know about that, but yes, we're gonna go into that. Thank you for being here during Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm so looking forward to today's conversation. I wanted to kickstart it by just saying I saw you again on your Nike ad, and it's so awesome to see you in that ad. Can you just How was it doing that ad and just kind of taking a step back and saying, I'm a Nike athlete?
Honestly, that was one of the biggest moments of my life, being able to see the difference in the resilience of me being an independent woman and having the recognition. First off, being a Nike athlete has been incredible. It's been remarkable. Words can't describe how it's been a full circle moment of me being a little kid, literally telling my mom I'm going to be a Nike athlete one day, and now I am. It's just been an honor. It's been an amazing experience, and having that as one of my first like big commercials, I was just like, "Oh my goodness, this is crazy. This is amazing." And being around amazing athletes like Asia Wilson, Shakari,
Yeah.
Sabrina Ionescu, like all those amazing athletes, and just seeing how they've done so much work into what they put forth to be in their sport in the younger generation, it just is an honor. And plus, it's women, so being a part of women in sports and just being able to, like, show in the extreme of
Yeah.
who we are as athletes.
Yeah, I was so waiting for you in that, like, commercial to come out at the end and just be like, flash the medal at the end, the gold, and so I didn't know if you could do that, but it was so cool watching you, and yes, with all those amazing other women athletes. Just, kudos, amazing. And speaking of gold medals, where do you keep your gold medals?
My medals are actually in a safe. Yeah, my parents have all that locked up in places. It's actually pretty cool. Nike actually created custom medal boxes for me, and my mom sent me a picture, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool." It's like crazy. So, they're definitely safe in a safe place.
I love that. I love that. Awesome. Well, listen, let's start the conversation today by just talking about your amazing career. And, you've been known for making these like quote unquote history moments, and you have so many of them. And is there one of these moments in your career where you look back and you're like, "Yep, that's the moment," that or is there anything that, is there one moment that you say that, "Yep, this was a defining moment," or maybe it was when you're a little kid, just anything that ever pops out?
I mean, all my moments that I've created history for has been remarkable. I probably would say the one in Paris was definitely a defining moment for me. It was something that I felt like it happened on the biggest stage of your life, of your career, and knowing that everybody was recognizing that and understanding, like, look, these people, not just women, but these athletes have been in an incredible situation of showing their talent, but also showing who they are as people. And so being on that, podium with two icons, two legends, two role models. It just felt right. So I took everything in and was just like, you know what? This is an honor. This is an experience. And it's just been a privilege to know that I have made history, not just one time, but a few times. And I take that to heart.
Yeah, amazing. And we're going to talk more about that. I want to, in your book and in other times I've seen you talk a lot about
Hmm.
culture in sports and the importance of that to you. Can you just talk a little bit about what that means to you for culture in the sport of gymnastics?
Well, culture in the sport of gymnastics, there's a lot of different things that people may see it as or may not see it as. And typically, you don't see gymnasts with nails, you don't see gymnasts with tattoos, you don't see gymnasts with crazy hair or, creating crazy Leo designs and bringing fashion into their sport like gymnastics. So, for me, knowing that I had the opportunity to change the culture of what gymnastics is perceived to be like, it's really cool. People are understanding that there's going to be more diversity, there's going to be more women of color, there's going to be more girls finding themselves as who they are, whether it's gender, whether it's, them trying to experience something greater than what their sport is. And I think having me as, paving the way for that, it's really cool. And they get the opportunity to be who they're trying to be. I didn't come into the sport to shy away from who Jordan Chiles is. I came to exude it in a way to understand, like, look, no matter what I'm doing, no matter what I'm trying to show, I'm always going to be authentic to who I am. So I think it's really cool that the being able to change the culture is like saying like literally Simone changes the game. People say this all the time. Simone changes the game, Jordan changed the culture. And I think it's really cool that I had this opportunity to do that. Definitely am proud of myself of understanding who I am as a person and that I get to show that to the younger generation.
Amazing, amazing. I'm CEO of my own company, and I I get nervous when I go out there and just talk to my employee base or talk to partners or investors or whoever it may be. I still get a little nervous. I can't imagine what it's like for you when you got to go up there and perform in front of millions of people or a stadium full of people at school or wherever it may be. How do you prepare well, do you get nervous when you go out there? I can start there because you don't look nervous. So I'm just kind of wondering, are you nervous when you go up there?
When I was younger, I used to be. That was something that I had to develop, which was confidence into me being a gymnast and me just being myself and understanding that practice is something that we do for a reason so we can compete good. And now it's more of just being, understanding who I am and understand that I put all the work and effort into becoming this amazing athlete and just trusting my gymnastics and trusting my practices. So competing in front of millions of people, whether it's 3, 4, or the whole entire world, it gives me it gives me more confidence in myself because not only are these people coming to watch us, but they are being entertained by what we get to do and what we get to love. And I have fun with gymnastics, so why not entertain them in the way that I could be like, you know what? Look, I'm over here doing everything that I love. So have fun with it, enjoy it, and it's, a really cool opportunity. So definitely can say the nerves were when I was younger, but now I take all that energy and put it into having fun.
That's so good. Are there techniques that you kind of use before you though go out to a large audience? Are there things that you kind of are there kind of like, things that you do consistently to say, "Hey, these are the things that I can prepare myself mentally to go out," whether like you said, it's 3, 4 millions of people that you do to get ready.
Aren't really any like things that I do. I guess for me is I just pray with my family. A lot of the time, ever since I was younger, with anything that we did, whether it's my siblings, whether it was, just us enjoying time or whatever, I always pray and pray, that yeah, all his angels are safe over watching over me and just keeping me very protected. That's been a thing with me. But other than that, I mean, I listen to music while I get ready. I have, talks with my best friends. I kind of just put myself in a zone to be like, look, you don't have to worry about gymnastics. Just worry about you going out there and having fun. You know, the quality and the effort and everything like that will come afterwards because you've done it so many times in practices. So I think it's really more just me being, me and going out there and putting on the best show as possible.
I love that. I love that. I have, I am, I was able to write a book, is fortunate enough to write a book as well. And in that book, we talked about mental fortitude a lot. And at some point, there was a part about good stress and bad stress, and how we need to focus more on the good stress because there's stress all around us. It's hard to be stress free in the work environment, just like it's probably hard to be stress free in your job as well, right? When you go out there, you have stress, right? But you just want to channel it in the right way, right? I assume you do get stressed when you go out there or before you perform as well.
Stress, no. I think it's more of an expectation. Stress and expectation, I kind of don't think of them as the same thing. A lot of people are like, well, if you're expected to do something, isn't that stressful? Not necessarily. I think it's really because as athletes, our mental is something that we really take into consideration. We are always doing something so big and so grand. But if we're having our worst day, don't expect us to put on this amazing show because we are still trying to protect our health, our mental, our physical, our emotional. So I definitely can say it's more of an expectation for me than it is being stressed because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I'm in my best mind state and my best physical shape as well to make sure you're getting what you paid for and what you're getting, what you are excited to see. So, um, sh- I probably, if you ask other athletes, stress is probably what they would say, but I mean, I have so much fun on the competition floor that I really do try to think about everything around me. I want to enjoy the audience. I want to be able to talk to fans. I want to be able to give them the show. I think of gymnastics or my sport as an artist, as somebody who's on a world tour. So every place that I go to, I want to make sure that I put on the best show and give them the best, opportunity to enjoy what they're doing in life, right? They came out to see us. They came out to do all these things. So why not give them the best show in the world?
Well, and you look like you're always having fun. You know what I mean? Like, you got that smile, like you saying, and the crowd, and it's just looks so genuine, and it's because it is, but you always, if there was one word and you said it, I'd be like, "Fun." She's having fun.
Yes, fun is my word. Everybody always asks me like, "What do you enjoy?" Just to have fun. It's a three-letter word for a reason, so I just want to have fun. I want to be able to, inspire the younger generation to understand that your sport doesn't define who you are, but you can define everything around you. And so I definitely want that to be something to be known. Like, have fun. We only have one life to live. We only have one thing to strive for every single day. So make that one thing making sure that you're having fun with it. So, yeah, I always have fun. I have fun everywhere I go.
I love it. I love it, and I can tell you do. So I wanna shift the conversation a little bit to your friendship with Simone Biles and talk about you and her. When I was reading your book, and it's awesome where it starts off when you read the forward, and she wrote the forward in your book. And I just wanted to, what was it like when you first read that for yourself? What feelings, emotions did you go through as you read her forward, for the first time?
When I read her the Ford for the first time, I cried. I
Uh,
can definitely say that. I cried like a little baby because you never understand how much somebody appreciates you until you ask them to do the most craziest thing, right? I was scared to ask Simone to write my forward because she already does so much within her life. She's a wife, she's a dog mom. She's doing amazing things within her career as being not just herself but also as an athlete. So, I was just like, can you like I'm scared to ask this, but like, do you think you would be willing? So being able to read it and understanding our friendship, it just means so much to me. I cried and I was just so honored to know that she thought of all those things about me and that she understood our differences, but also understood our similarities. And we had each other's back. We still have each other's back. We support one another. And I'm so glad that I have somebody like her in my corner every step of the way. And, she's doing amazing things now. And I can't wait to see what everything has in store for her. I mean, she congratulated me on my book and, just being able to see her do the things that you want to do, and she's doing it in a way that she loves it. So she definitely is an icon and legend to me. She's an idol and inspiration. So it was really cool to know that she did that, and I was just like in awe. I literally was crying, but I thank her every day, literally, like every day.
Oh, I love that. I remember I asked a mentor of mine to write my forward as well. And when I first read it, I had to kind of read it again and again because I was just kind of sometimes we don't say these things to each other, and to see them in words, it can be kind of overwhelming. And it almost changes your relationship here a little bit. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that. And so I just love the fact that you have that relationship with Simone. I saw it while reading your forward, and it was so awesome just to read. And so I can just imagine that relationship, you two, that special bond that you two have. And speaking of bonds, like, in a lot of workplaces today, they always say if you have that like best friend at work or your close friend at work, you're actually so much happier at your own job. So they say if you have one friend, your job satisfaction goes up to like 57, 60%. So it goes exponentially higher than if you were alone. Is she that kind of one friend to you, or has she been that one friend to you, during your kind of career?
She has. I mean, I've gone through a lot of different friendships throughout my career, whether it was when I was younger or whether it's now. And I definitely can say from the time I was I was 13. So yeah, around 13 till now, she has been that person that, can understand when you're at your lowest points, can understand that, we're trying to go for the same goal, strive for something amazing. And we just joke around. Like she's a jokester, so she definitely brings my happy energy up, and that she definitely can be that one person. I mean, I have a best friend in my sport and I have a best friend outside of my sport. So I think being able to understand that you can have multiple friends here and there and understand and they understand their role, it's really cool. I enjoy having, Simone is the type of person that we can not talk for days, weeks, months, however long, but we'll send each other stuff here and there. But then when it's like we see each other, we'll have a full blown conversation and everything will be perfectly fine. So those are the type of friendships that I think are really something you can cherish and something that you're always going to remember. So it definitely is a cool thing.
I love that. I love that. And then you had a moment in the Tokyo Olympics where you then stepped in for her. Can you talk about that moment as well?
That was a crazy moment for me. I can tell you after it happened and we've, months and years have gone by, I tell her all the time, that was a great moment for me, but I never want to step in your shoes ever again. That was a scary time. I was like, oh my gosh, this is about to be like the world breaking news. Like I couldn't even tell you how crazy it was, but I am just proud of myself being able to step in somebody's shoes who is known as the GOAT in gymnastics and still come back with the medal and understand that she supported us in a way that you wouldn't expect any other athlete to. And I definitely am proud that I was able to be that person for her because not only did it teach me that I can be confident, it taught me that why it taught me the reason on why I was on that team. It taught me, okay, Jordan, they put you on this team because of your consistency. They put you on this team because they can trust you at any moment in time if something so happens to be the biggest thing in the world. And it was a really cool opportunity, but I'm very, very proud of me because if I was any younger, if I was not that Jordan in that moment, I probably would have freaked out. Like I probably would have gone and been like, "No, I can't do this." But I trusted myself and I trusted my gut and I trusted, understanding that I can do anything and her being able to tell us like, "I trust you guys. Let's just finish this meet out and do whatever we need to do, it gave me more confidence. So she supported us, we supported her, and we just, carried on through the rest of the Olympic Games. And I'm just happy that, she's in a better place now, and that um she came back and redeemed everything, but literally back in Paris. Like, she literally redeemed everything. And that was a moment of wow, like gratitude. Like, that was just honestly an amazing experience to witness. So
Ah, amazing.
she's the most fantastic person ever. Like, I don't even think fantastic is an understatement. Like, I don't even know what word I could truly use. I don't even think goat is what I can use anymore. She is beyond a goat. Like, she is literally like, I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you.
We all have one of those friends where you don't talk to them for a while, then you talk to them, and it's like nothing has changed. Such a special relationship, right?
Yes.
Yes, I wanna keep shifting the conversation, and because we were kinda shifting it now a little bit on, like, mental health and some takeaways from mental health. And, part of the book that if there's a part of the book that I continue just to, like, as I was reading it, I was thinking about was just your inner strength. And I just kept thinking like, wow, this girl has such inner strength. You endured so much in your career. And now when you wrote that book, so much of it came out,
Mhm.
which I know wasn't easy for you. Um, can you just describe how hard it was to do that, right? To be so open, so honest, so vulnerable in in the book.
I can tell you, writing it and like talking about my stories all over again was very hard. But
Hmm.
I'm happy I was able to get all of my stories out the way that I did, because now I can really think back and be like, "Wow, how are you standing right now? How are you in this position? How are you this strong?" But then it made me realize I wouldn't be in this era of my life if it wasn't for the people around me. I wouldn't be able to, give the speeches on mental health, or give speeches on, being a woman of color, give me a speech on, just the resilience or independentness that I have within myself. And so it was a crazy time era for me. And I was just like, okay, we got to get all these stories out, but I'm going to do it as best as I can. Yes, there were times it was hard. I was crying. I was like, why did I go through this as a little kid? But then it also makes me think now, like, I can let all that be in the past for a reason. I'm happy if people want to ask about my trauma. If people, there's a book now that you can read about it. There's a thing, there's, actually a on paper, literally on paper, of how my life went, so you can understand how is Jordan Chiles standing right now. And it was something that I am very thankful that I was able to do, because again, I can just leave it in the past and be like, okay, the trauma happened. Let's move on with life. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't have to, relive everything, because I already did that. And I think that just made me feel more confident and stronger about myself now, because I can think like, wow, my book literally tells everything, and now I'm sitting here being this person, this fun, energetic, outgoing, sometimes stubborn, sometimes can be annoying woman, and can just understand everything that I went through. I went through it for a reason. God didn't give me, the spirit of fear. God didn't give me this path to, just go down it and have fun with it. No, there were things that I had to overcome, trials and tribulations, all these things that I just had to show the world on
That's right.
who I became. So it was a tough time, but now it's like it's light work for me now that I can just talk about it, leave it in the past. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, and, there's parts of your book where you do such a great job of bringing us along with you, and, I it's hard enough, and you can't imagine what it's like to be at the level of an athlete that you are, and to compete as you did at such a young age, and to continue to exceed expectations and win, but then you had to contend with, as you wrote in your book, about mental abuse, about racism, about sexism. You wrote about all these things, and you just said it a while ago, but you were so young. How did you get through that period, and how did you get through all of that, right? It's just something I just wanted to ask you as I, read the book and read certain chapters over and over again. I'm like visualizing, how did she get through this?
I laugh about it now because I asked myself the same question. Um, I think it was really my parents and my family who was able to always remind me, God gave you this gift. God gave you this ability to show the world what your talent is. So why not use it in the proper way? And so I think just praying every day, really asking the Lord, like, look, why am I in this? Why am I continuing on something when I constantly am getting verbally, emotionally abused every day, but yet you're still having me in this route, in this path? And now that I can say, well, I understand now because I'm a two-time Olympian, I'm, all these amazing things. But as a little kid, they told me was that's the sport of gymnastics. That's the sport of gymnastics. Gymnastics supposed to be like that. My mom would say the exact thing. She would ask the parents. They'd be like, "Oh, that's just how the sport of gymnastics is. It's tough. Tough sport. Yes, it's a tough sport. I went through a lot. I mean, obviously, it's in my book. I went through suicidal thoughts. I went to sports psychologists. I went through all these things. And as a young kid, you never want to go through that. You want to be able to enjoy your life.
Yeah.
But it comes back. I always say this: we don't live in a world of a utopia, because then that means everybody would do the exact same thing. So we live in a world of not just it being black and white, but also understanding that our everybody's path is different. And we're all gonna have, perfection, and we're all gonna have this ability to fail and succeed, right? Over and over again. So I think having that mindset of understanding, my dad always told me every lesson that I learned or everything that happened to me will always be a chapter in my book. No pun
Mm,
intended. That is very true. Everything that happened is a chapter in my book. From my trauma, from me getting my braids cut off, from me having racist comments, from people telling me to hang myself, from me being suicidal, all these things. And it's more of a way to show that how strong I became. Because it didn't happen overnight. I didn't become this strong overnight. It was gradually something that I was teaching myself every single day. Look, this is just a chapter. Let's move on. It's getting stronger, getting stronger. But also, there was a time where I blocked everything out. I blurred
mm.
everything out. I didn't want to hear it over and over again. I didn't want to live it over and over again. So how can I block it out? And I think that's where I kind of messed up because at the time I caught myself in a box.
Mm.
Couldn't see no light, couldn't see nothing, right? Every corner I would turn, it would be the same thing over and over and over and over again. So once I figured out, like, okay, you're caught in a box, you got to find a different route. And that route was, talking to a sports psychologist, moving to a whole different state, getting my support and my family involved, getting things that I knew that I needed and I should have had when I was younger, but I was too young. I was naive at that time. What are you at 12, 13 years old? What else are you're learning about US history and uh agriculture and all these things in middle school. So it's like at that age there was only so much family and people could do until you figured out yourself. And that's what I did. Each and every year I figured out something new about myself to realize, okay, that was the past. I'm going to be stronger and take what happened and turn it and bring it to light. And that's kind of
Yeah.
how I was able to overcome a lot of those things and, try not to think about them too much.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. And you also in the book talked about faith and but also your family. They seem just to be this incredible support system for you. Can you talk a little bit about that? About the family and the role your family played?
Yeah, my family had to sacrifice a lot. I definitely can say my older sisters, they sacrificed a lot within school, within their careers, within everything that they were trying to do within their own lives. And I thank them a lot every single day. Our relationship wasn't, the same how it is now, obviously, because we're older. But when we were younger, it was, different paths. They would get mad at me and all those things. Typically what siblings would do. So and same with my brothers. My brothers kind of sacrificed a lot as well. And I think it was really everybody just showing me the love and the support, even though sometimes they may get annoyed or mad with something, and especially on vacations and stuff. If we weren't allowed to go on vacations, but I wouldn't be in this moment or in this place if it really wasn't for my family. They rode with me and they're still riding with me even through every crazy moment in my life and every sweet moment in my life. And, I think of our family, or I think of my life as a Sour Patch Kid. We have the most sour moments in life and the most sweetest moments in life. So I definitely can say, like, my family has been able to, ride that ride with me. And I'm very thankful that they are still doing that and that they have this understanding of who I am as a person. And, you know, realizing that they created something amazing. Like, my parents every single day are just in awe of me, and although they're my inspiration, they always tell me that I inspire them, which is, I think, a really cool and amazing feeling to know that, your youngest daughter is inspiring you to do greater things within your path within your life, even though they're my parents. And so that relationship and that bond is amazing, and I wouldn't change the world for anything that has happened through me being born on April 15th to me being 23 today. So I'm just happy that I have such an amazing family and role models.
Oh, I'm gonna use that with my daughters who are 17 and 14 and buy them some Sour Patch, Kids. I'm gonna use that line. I love that line. That's so good. I'm just gonna be like I'm like, "It's gonna get better." They do argue and fight,
Yeah.
but I know they love each other, and I know hopefully the relationship just continues to get stronger over time.
Yes, I can tell you it will. Trust me. If my sisters were here in the room with us now, they'd be like, "Look, I didn't really like my siblings when I was younger 'cause I was like, I don't know who you guys are. I don't, I was the spoiled one. I'm the youngest of the five, so it was just I ruled the whole entire house. And but now we're all close. We're all, doing our own things, our own paths. But everything that I do, I try to make sure my family gets the same in return because they sacrificed their whole entire lives for me. So
Mm. I always feel when I watch you, because of the things that you went through and how you are today, like I feel like there's a certain artistry I want to say. And so when you're kind of got a floor routine to Prince or Beyonce, or you're doing something with your tattoos, I feel like there's always there's all these meanings, deeper meanings that you're sharing. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like the meanings behind some of those things?
well, in our sport, as a lot of people like to say, it's just, oh, you do gymnastics. Well, no, I do artistic gymnastics. It's artistic. Obviously, there's a three-letter word that's at the beginning of artistic, and that's art. And I love art. I love fashion. I love being able to find different ways within my own personality. Like, who knows? I have a very creative mind. So, who knows what I will end up making or end up doing or, developing? I don't even know. My brain just does its own thing. Um, so when it comes to like you were saying, the artistry side of things, in every music choice that I choose, those artists are artistic in their own way. Whether it's Prince and his makeup and his purple, jacket and how he dances, whether it's Beyonce and her culture and her trying to show the world you can do whatever you want within music, whether it's rock, whether it's country, whether it's, R&B, pop, or it's within myself. And as a gymnast, we are able to be beautiful, we are able to be independent, we are able to be graceful within our sport. So showing those things in different ways, I think, is a really cool opportunity to show how authentic I am. I'm not going to change the way I shine in my sport compared to the way I shine outside of my sport. It's the same person. What you see me doing flips is you'll see the same girl walking in a mall. Like,
But we know you can do flips in the mall, so that's a little different. We know you
yeah,
can start flipping in the mall. I can't start flipping in the mall, but you can start flipping in the mall. That's different.
no, the artistry side of everything, it just really comes from how I've developed who I am, whether it's my nails, whether it's my tattoos, whether it's the way I do my hair. And I think it just shows myself in different forms. And I really enjoy that because you don't get just one Jordan. You get multiple Jordans and you get to experience them the same way I'm experiencing them. So I get to have fun with all those things, and I really enjoy being able to just be myself. I always tell every athlete, if you do gymnastics, if you don't do gymnastics, just be authentic to who you are. Because at the end of the day, you're only trying to be a better version of yourself the next day, right? You don't want to be the same. You don't want to be the same each and every day. So be a better version. Step one, do, up yourself each and every day. And I think that's where I was able to realize, okay, if I could up one myself each and every day, what else can I find within myself? Oh, I like tattoos. Oh, I like my nails. If WNBA and NBA players can have a game day outfit and NFL players, why can't we? That's how I see it. Why can't we show our fashion or our personalities in the way that we want to dress and we want to put on our we're wearing it. We're doing everything that we're doing. We're showing out, we're competing. So how come we can't do it in the best way that we feel comfortable? And so that's basically what I do. That's where the artistry and that's where the artistic side of me comes in into everything that I do, because it's just like this I feel comfortable. I have to wake up and fix my crown every day. No one else does. I have to wake up and look at myself in the mirror, no pun intended, but and say, I'm that girl. I have to wake up each and every day to figure out what the rest of my journey in my life is going to be.
Hmm.
So I think that's kind of how I was just able to develop all the different personalities within myself and express them differently. And I really enjoy it. It's fun. I mean, getting tattoos is like, that's art to me. All my tattoos on my body have a meaning. My nails have a meaning. The way I do my hair typically has a meaning, especially if it's for a competition, because I just enjoy doing that. So everything has a meaning to me, and I enjoy it. It's fun.
Love that. Love that. So you hit on this just a little bit a while ago about therapy. And you talked about your own journey and in the book and how it just took a little while to start and but then you really embraced it. Do you have advice for others on, who are struggling to start and ultimately how did you start?
Well, going to how I see it is, since I'm an athlete, I go to sports psychologists, but
Mhm.
people sometimes may go that route even if you're not in a sport. So I think therapy in general is a good thing to discover and experience. Now, I can tell you this. I did not like it when I was younger. It did not make me feel it made me feel like I wasn't understanding myself. It made me feel like, okay, so you're telling me that I don't know about my life? Like that's crazy, but I do. No, that was just me being stubborn and me being a rat and all these things, because when I got older, I didn't realize how mentally drained and how mentally annoyed and frustrated I was with the fact that I couldn't figure out why I was doing the things I was doing. All the mistakes, all of the things that, the body positivity, the imposter syndrome, body dysmorph. I didn't understand those things because I didn't understand why my brain was not functioning the same that I used to. So I would say to anybody, I'm not forcing you. I'm not doing any of that, but I do recommend going to see a therapist or going to see a sports psychologist, because they can help you in ways that you never thought you needed help. And
Hmm.
that's what helped me. Now, I always say this, if you don't believe in those things, go talk to somebody you've never talked to.
Hmm.
I like to rant to random people. Don't ask me why. I sometimes energy that I get from the person, I'm like, "You know what? I feel like I can talk to you today. I feel like, this is a time where I can be like, I'm going to lay everything out even though you just met me."
Hmm.
Sometimes talking to somebody else gives you a different perspective because they you don't feel like they're judging you. And a lot of people will say, if I go talk to my friend, what if they're going to judge me on this? What if they're going to judge me on this? So that's why I recommend finding somebody that you may or may not know and giving them a little like, so this is what I'm going through, and I don't know if this is how you're going to take it, but you feel more comfortable. Lastly, I say write or draw. I developed drawing again during COVID. I was going through a very, very tough time. Obviously, there was a cultural situation that was happening, and I just was like, wow, everybody in this world just does not like black people. Like I was going through it. I was just like, this is crazy. But then I found this way to let my feelings out onto paper. And I started drawing and I started, writing things down, and it made me feel more comfortable and understand myself a little more. So I definitely would say, whether you want to go to a therapist or a sports psychologist, 100%. If that doesn't work for you, talk to somebody. If that doesn't work for you, at least get your thoughts and your knowledge out on paper, cuz that will basically kind of give you a little more understanding of what you're going through. So,
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
yes, I recommend a lot of those things. Trust me, I did not like it when I first did it, but when I tried it, I understood. And now look at me, I'm in a better, state of mind and everything like that. But, I always like to, put that out there. I'm not forcing you. I'm not, telling you this is what you have to do, but I just recommend it.
I'm gonna switch the topic, on the conversation to social media,
Mm.
because as a parent, I gotta tell you, when I read, kinda how your mom handles some stuff around social media, I was like, "Man, I was like, "Look, I should do your social media." And they're like, "No way." So I just wanna, like, just talk a little bit about the boundaries you've had around social media, has it improved your life? Just talk us a little through, your kinda social media journey.
Well, I can tell you I dislike social media a lot. I'm not a social media girly, but since a lot of my stuff is very for business, goes through social media, that's what I have to do with social media. I mean, I was like your kids when I was younger. I was at 13 or 12 or 13 years old. I think, my mom allowed me to get Instagram, and she was like, I need all your information, that are all this stuff, right? So I was like, okay, whatever. Sure, here's my password. I didn't realize how much my mother hid from me as being a gymnast, as being a woman of color, as being just a woman in general. And there were a lot of things that I'm very, very thankful now that she did hide from me, because I was like, hey, I don't know what I would have done if you would have told me this was happening, if you didn't delete these DMs, if you didn't do all these, comments, because I thought I was living the best life. Like, oh my gosh, like, look at me, in the era of doing peace signs and all this stuff and having fun with social media, but didn't realize that on the back end there was things that my mom was hiding from me, and I appreciate that now. Now, did it start getting frustrating when she would ask me about, social media and I'm posting this and stuff? Yes, because it's like, why are you still controlling my social media? I'm 16 years old by this time. There's no need. So I actually finally, by the time I turned 18, I was like, look, mom, you're not having my social media anymore. This is mine. Thank you very much. And still to until I wrote, until I wrote the book, I didn't know she hid all those things. So, I'm getting older. She's like over here, all these things. And that's when I started to see, by the time I was 18, 19, I started to see everything that
No.
was happening. I was like, wow, people are saying this about me. People are, so it brought my mental down, down, down. Cause I started seeing myself like that. And I was like, why is this all this negative energy coming into my life when I'm just trying to enjoy it? Right. I got accepted into a D1 school. I'm trying for the Olympic Games. Like, but then there's all this negativity. So this is where I created, and I call them bully bots. And basically, why I call them bully bots is because in my head, I started to think, why every single time I do something good, there's always something on the back end that's gonna destroy me. So then I started digging deep into my thoughts in my brain, and I was like, you know what? In order for somebody to negatively put something on your post, there's obviously something inside of them that they wish that they could do that they can't, and are trying to basically take away your shine and make you feel bad that they don't get this. And so I started thinking and all these things. So my mental started going back up. Do. I'm like, okay, yeah. Say whatever you want to say. I don't care. I'm living life over here because I started processing the fact that if they can't look at themselves in the mirror and accept who they are, then they're going to have a problem with the next person standing next to them because they're not going through the same thing they're going through. So, social media now for me, I just look at it as okay, I'm always going to have something negative. I put a book out, people are still saying negative things about it. And they're like, well, this didn't happen. Well, this didn't happen. Well, story and that you're just gonna have to deal with what my story is, right? Like I don't know what to tell you. It's my story. It's like me posting a picture. Somebody's gonna say, "Oh, the dress doesn't." So I started just realizing in this world, no matter what I put, whether it's good, whether it's bad, somebody is still going to say something because they are feeling some type of way about themselves. So social media and I mean, we're acquaintances, we're not really besties, we're not really friends, but I mean, I do understand a lot of people. I've taken myself off of social media before. Like right now, I'm not on Twitter. I've taken myself off of Instagram. I've taken myself off of things that, some days you just need a break. And I think
Yeah,
that's okay because at the end of the day, we got to do what's best for ourselves. So I've gone through those phases and I've gone through those things and they definitely helped me and they've definitely made me, find new things within myself, whether it's creating music, whether it's being with my friends more, whether it's going to the beach or just finding different ways to put yourself in a different area because your life isn't social media.
that's right.
Another thing,
Mm.
I don't understand why people think that you can live through somebody's life and they're, in a relationship and you think that the relationship isn't going to be good when you don't even know what they're doing outside of the social media. So that's why me and social media are acquaintances, not so much besties or friends, but I can deal with it.
I love that. I love that. Acquaintances, not besties or friends. I'll tell you, as a CEO, you'll make decisions and, you're running your own brand and that not everyone's going to agree with.
Mhm.
And it's hard because people will voice their opinions and, they may do it anonymously. And, we all have feelings about things, we're all human. And it's hard sometimes because you have to make some of these hard decisions that not everyone's going to agree with. And so I love your approach there where you're like, yeah, we're not going to be besties, but you have to make those decisions and it's your story, it's your book.
Mhm.
And you own it, so that's great. That's great. I was wanting to shift the conversation to and be remiss if I didn't talk about the Olympics. And there was one thing on the Olympics that I wanted to start with was that you have this interesting perspective of where you performed in front of a crowd, and you have one where you performed in where it was during COVID and you had a limited crowd, let's put it, or a smaller audience per se. How how did that how does that affect your performance? Or do you tune it out? Like how much does the audience affect your performance?
The audience, I would say they actually people sometimes think, "Oh, does the audience make you more nervous?" For me, no. It doesn't make me more nervous. It doesn't make me feel like I have to do more than what I've done in practice. It really uplifts the fact that you can have confidence in yourself because you have people cheering for you. It gives you more energy. It gives you, a lot of excitement. So, not having an audience in Tokyo was really hard. But I think understanding that we were trying to make that noise and trying to make the ability to look and be like, okay, just because we don't have an audience, we have each other. But as gymnasts, when you can't hear your thoughts, it's easier. Some, some gymnasts, I can't say all, some gymnasts like me, if you can't hear your thoughts, it's easier because then you're like, okay, I just need to go with the rhythm, go with the flow, do what I have to do, keep tumbling or whatever works for you. So, having an audience in Paris, first off, I didn't think the audience was gonna when people say, "Oh yeah, there's a big crowd that's gonna come and watch gymnastics." I didn't think it was gonna be like that. Audience, like, oh my gosh, like all these people are here to watch gymnastics. Like, that is so crazy. So I got to enjoy that moment, and it brings a different side out of me. Like, I get to have fun, I get to, dance, do whatever, because I'm loose, I'm relaxed. I understand that there's gonna be people watching, but I do better when people are watching because I know I don't have to think too much about my, my apparatus, or like if I'm doing, for instance, like on bars, I don't think really anything on bars. I tell my cues before I go, and then it's like, okay, done. I'm done. So it's it was different in Tokyo, but like Paris, it was only different because of the energy that the audience was giving.
Hmm. You know, when you and we said it in the beginning of the conversation, it was such a powerful moment for me when you saw 3 women of color on the podium. It's something I will never forget, and it was just so powerful to see, I think, for the world. But soon after that moment, that bronze medal for you was taken away,
Mhm.
and, I want to tell you that you handled it, in front of, I would say, the world in a way with such strength, dignity, and grace in that moment, which I'm sure was so difficult. But you also wrote about you had to piece back together your heart. Can you talk a little bit about when you put that phrase together and that moment for you?
Well, when I was, writing the book, obviously I was writing it during the time frame of when it actually happened, and I can tell you now, being able to have my heart fully back together, those pieces was really me trying to figure out why it happened. Will people look at me the same? Did I do the right thing? There was a lot of things that weren't making sense to me, and having the support of, my team, whether it was my PR side, whether it was my agency side, whether it was my family, whether it was my friends, and just them reminding me, Jordan, you can't control what everybody else is doing. You can only control what you're doing. You have the support. You did everything right. Everything that you did was right. And I couldn't comprehend that in my head because I was like, well, why is this happening? So the whole situation I see as a blessing in disguise. And so being able to have my heart back into, feeling confident in competing again, and being with UCLA, and understanding that I have the support everywhere I go, that's all I can, go with, and that's all I can say. So I'm very happy that I was able to get all those pieces back into who I
Mm,
am, and understand that, like my dad said, everything that happens will be a chapter in your book. And so knowing that this was a part of my book and this is a part of my journey, I'll forever remember it. It's worldwide. Like, everybody knows about it. It's not going anywhere. I'm pretty sure, in 40, 50 years from now, it's still going to be known. So, again, it's like a blessing in disguise. And I'm very thankful that I had the right support around me, and at the lowest time of my life. And I can say that my heart is back and better, and that I'm just pushing forward and letting all the other people on the outside continue to fight. I'm continuing to fight, and kind of just be me. I'm enjoying everything about life. I mean, what more can I do, being, you know, having this book out and being woman of the year, and, whether it was Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, whether it was walking
yes,
in a fashion
yes.
show, whether it's all these amazing things that I've done. And I just, thank everybody that has been around me to help me and uplift me in that way. And I'm just very proud that I'm still strong and standing, and I never gave up.
All right, now, speaking of the book, okay, because you mentioned it, I'm gonna pull it down from here.
Okay.
Love the cover, love the
Thank
title.
thank you.
How did you pick that photo of all the photos and the title? Can you just kinda walk us through that?
Yes, so well, first off, the title "I'm That Girl" came from a Beyoncé song. It's very If you listen to the song, it's very self-explanatory. I went to the Renaissance tour, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, like this lady is an icon. Like, she's legit like an icon. Like, wow. And then I ended up watching her documentary on how Renaissance tour even was created, and I just realized how resilient, independent she was, and I was just like, you know what? She took this long to create an amazing masterpiece, and yet it still didn't get the recognition that she wanted, right? So I was like, every single morning, I wonder what her affirmation is for herself. I wonder what she does. And so I thought I took the song I'm That Girl and used it as my affirmation every single morning, every single day, all through 2024. Because when I think of I'm That Girl, I think of everything that has happened in my life, from tears to joy to aches to pains to, trauma to everything, but to understand that I am still that girl because I'm still standing, I'm strong, independent, resilient, outgoing, all these amazing things. So that's where I'm That Girl came from, which I think it's really cool to know because I feel like a lot of people can resonate to that. Like,
100%.
as women, like, it's not even just women, it's like everybody. Like, that's why I say, for men, I'm like, you're that guy, or just you have the ability to have your mind in the right spot at the right time. And that's where, that came from. Now, the photo,
Yes,
I'm
the
known
photo.
I'm known to scream and to, chant and to throw my hands up, and I'm just that, like, they call me the hype woman of the team. And so that picture was me being, I was proud of myself that I made my bar routine, and it just gives very strong woman empowerment, independent, black power, just everything in that photo. So I wanted to, they showed it to me. There was a bunch of photos that they showed me, and I was just like, no, this one right here. I feel like it's gonna be an eye opener. It's gonna be very eye catching to a lot of people in bookstores, and so that's what I wanted to go for, and hope that it is eye opening and it is an eye catcher for people. So that's kind of where everything. Once I saw it on paper, I was like, "Oh, yeah." I started picturing it. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so crazy." It came so, for real for me, like, it was just crazy.
It's just such a strong photo that elicits so much emotion. I, um, I wanna ask you a couple last questions. What was the best lesson from your book as you look back?
That's, like, a tricky question because my whole life has been a lesson. Um, I think the best lesson from my book is my trauma moments, and understanding that people, not just athletes, everybody goes through trauma. And it's really what makes it more unique and different is how everybody gets out of it. And I learned that from myself, really, because I don't know how I was able to get out of that. I don't know any of those things that I did and what I could have changed. Like, there's a lot of things that happened in the past 23 years of my life. And so I think those moments within my book kind of was just like, if I was able to do it then, I'm able to do it now. If I was
Ugh,
able to conquer something then, I'm able to do it now with the different mindset. So just understanding myself that at that time, at that age, I was able to overcome a lot at my lowest moments. So what more can I do at my highest moments? And I
love
that
that.
that's the lesson that I was able to take just from the trauma and the sadness throughout my book, because that's a sad moment. I've heard people that say that they cried reading. I've heard people say that they just had to put the book down for a second, really collect themselves. So,
That was
uh,
me. Yeah. Yeah.
so just understanding that I was able to conquer so much at that era of my life, and knowing that I can do the same thing but with a different mindset.
Okay, okay. So, final question here, okay? And I could just keep on going here, but I know I'd be holding you back from class or something. Uh, in the book that I wrote, it was called Recharge, and it's all about trying to think about your mental health as a phone battery. So think about things that charge you up, and one of the ways I recharge is going out there, and similar to you, I talk to people, and so I love talk to people, and that helps me to recharge my internal battery. What's something that helps you to recharge?
Lately, it has been binge watching Netflix. I think
Oh.
really being able to put myself in like an actress or actor's body and see how they're acting throughout their show and just be like, "Oh, I wonder what would happen like if this is like my creative mind going in a whole different direction." But I don't get to think about my sport. I don't get to think of any of those things because I know each day is going to be something different. So, recently it's been binge watching Netflix. But if I had to really like, if we're gonna go back to when I was going through times and um it was really surrounding myself around the right people.
Ah,
Finding my circle. My circle is like this big. Like you can barely see it. Like my circle is really, really tiny. And just knowing that I'm not gonna get judged for what I'm saying. I'm not gonna, be looked at weirdly with what I'm trying to tell my friends or anything like that. So really just being like, okay, look, guys, this is what I'm going through. I'm going to lay it all out. You guys can listen or you don't have to listen. And all the time, they typically listen and they, try to help me in those ways. But if I'm trying to go the fun route, I definitely will say shopping because sometimes a little splurge here or there can kind of, pucker you up, give you a little happy moment. But yeah, I think just really the support and finding ways to let my brain not think about what happened in the moment and just kind of push forward.
you got a lot of thumbs up here on the shopping front from people, so that's awesome. I know, well, Jordan, listen, I thank you so much for today's conversation. This is an absolute must read for everybody. I love this book, love your authenticity, love your vulnerability. Thank you today for today's conversation, and I hope to have you on again.
Thank you so much for having me. This was honestly amazing. And I hope everybody enjoys the rest of the book. Or don't forget, it's also on audio as well. So go enjoy I'm That Girl.